morning, gentlemen. Sorry you've been kept waiting. Chairman's free now. Would you like to come this way? Oh, very well. Bring away.
Some time before I came chairman, we had to do something about our manufacturing capacity because we had two mutually incompatible objectives. We wanted to improve the working conditions and we wanted to fit into our factories the very latest technical developments. These just didn't work out. They were really in conflict. So my predecessor decided to set up a working group, and everybody had to be under 40, so if they made a muck of it, they had to live with it. And this was called Horizon, and the whole idea of it was to set it up for building this entirely new factory.
I remember very well those early days when I took over what came to be known as the Horizon Group back in 1968.
Yes, we are planning some of our office accommodation to pretty high standards these days.
Well, I agree, and I see no reason why we shouldn't set equally high standards in the new production areas.
Yes, well, John All's got some ideas about the building.
We were all specialists in our own field, but none of us had ever tackled anything as big and as difficult as this. As a first step, we carried out a paper exercise to satisfy ourselves, as far as we could, that the project would eventually justify itself economically.
Have you got all the information now, Ted, able to do your cost evaluation?
We've got most of the figures, and we've done some work on the detailed exercise. We can't really finalise it until we know just where the factory's going to be.
At that early stage, of course, we hadn't yet settled on a site, although there were various possibilities. We could perhaps have remodeled the existing Radford factories in Nottingham, but that would have meant a near shutdown for a long period of time. Or we could have moved away altogether to one of the several development areas dotted about the country, and the group considered these in detail. But that would have meant abandoning our experienced labour force and setting out on the long and costly exercise of training another. Besides, we'd been part of the Nottingham scene for so long, it was natural to want to stay if we could, and I'm sure the Nottingham Corporation also wanted us. So, in a way, they too were drawn into our group. For some time, they'd been reclaiming marshland by the Trent at Lenton, using as filling all manner of industrial and household waste. Eventually, after further studies, our group recommended that an option on up to 45 acres be accepted.
Well, gentlemen, this new factory project's going to set us a lot of problems, not only in the Horizon Group, but outside it. I think probably the most pressing one of these is going to be communication.
The first we heard was an announcement over the tannoy. Well, it didn't exactly cause a riot. Back then, it was all still a bit up in the air. There was one bit, though, that did stir it up.
To ensure that the new premises and machinery are used to best advantage, it's intended to introduce double-day shift working.
Not in Nottingham, not bloody lightly, so they go and handshake and get out.
Well, rent can be all right. Extra money, new factory.
Aye, so half a year's got a scooter. What about me? Lives on the side of town.
Well, they'll put bus on for you.
Well, I think it could work out all right, Nancy, as long as my husband gets on the same shift as me.
It's one of these things we've got to face up to. It's progress. Being one step ahead of your competitors.
Oh, yes, these factories have been up quite a long while now. And
I'm quite satisfied here.
well, it's a good idea in practice, but I don't think shifts themselves are a very good idea, especially for the young people.
Well, it's 4 days now since the announcement was made. What sort of reaction have we had from people in the factories?
Well, undoubtedly, the biggest topic of conversation is this one of double-day shift working.
What people want.
But double-day shifts were only one aspect of the whole project. By now, we were beginning to work together as a team. But this didn't happen overnight, as we were all drawn from different departments and had to carry on with our own jobs at the same time. We knew that one of the Horizon Group's most complicated tasks would be choosing the additional new equipment, planning its layout, and settling delivery dates. Of course, we've always made studies of production techniques, but now these began to have a further significance. They took us to places as different as France and Japan, and we looked at every building with a new eye.
It's noticeable that certain sections are windowless, Bill.
Let me have a look at that.
Yes, I like the landscaping. I don't like the towers. What do you think?
Gradually, as a result of all our probing and the exchange of ideas, some conception began to emerge of the production requirements we might need, not only now but in the future. Quite clearly, we would soon be in a position to discuss the project with architects, once we could find the right firm. For advice, we went to our university, with its School of Architecture under the direction of Professor Ling.
All the traders have come together, rather like the peasants came into the medieval market and brought all their goods for sale. Now, of course...
We came away with a short list of architects of international repute. What we were looking for, among other things, were people with the ability to come in with us as part of our team, and we found this in the way Arup Associates worked, a British firm which was eventually chosen. In addition to design experience, they have their own consulting engineers and quantity surveyors under the same roof, so they were able to provide a complete service for the total design of the building.
Well, we're pretty new to this game, so you'll have to tell us, I think, what you want from us in the first instance.
Well, in order that we may familiarize ourselves with the complexities of your problem, I think the first thing we'd like to do is to arrange for the whole team to come up from London and look around your Radford setup.
Oh, we can certainly arrange that.
And you'll want some liaison from us, presumably in London.
Yes, I think we anticipate that in this job that the brief will develop stage by stage, and it's essential that we have close contact all the time.
Right from the start, we realized that the key to the architect's thinking was their idea of designing a single basic unit, which could then be multiplied to build a factory the size we wanted. This would also allow for expansion and flexibility. The ideas for this unit were developed with us in great detail. After a period of some 6 months, the architects produced their outline proposals. Each unit was to be divided into 4 levels. The ground floor would include all docks, initial processing, and some car parking under cover. Above it would be a void for production services. These services would feed upwards to the main production floor, which was to have large column-free areas. Overhead lighting and air conditioning plant were to be in the roof void. The idea for our factory was that this unit be multiplied by 36. Our next important step was to decide on a builder, and it was our architects who were able to lead us in that direction.
In our opinion, Bovis's philosophy of contracting is the nearest to what we want to achieve on this job.
Well, it seems to me that if we can negotiate a contract with them as managing contractors without their doing any of the actual construction, then we get the best of both worlds. We get the contractor and the architect together straight away, which will cut the design time. We get the contractors on our side, as it were, and yet all the actual building work goes out to competitive tenders.
What all this meant was that although the architect supplied the creative thinking behind the designs, all of us, the Horizon Group, the architects themselves with their engineers, and now the managing contractors, were able to get involved and work together from the first possible moment. Now even more of us were shuttling to and fro between London and Nottingham.
People want to see daylight. They want to know what the weather's like outside.
Well, if they want to do those things, we have to analyze carefully what they want to do them and how they are able to do them in order that we can design the windows properly.
And of course, as the months passed and planning continued, life in and around the existing factories went on much the same as ever.
And a long and happy retirement.
Thank you very much.
Fairly closely with the designers. We have a full-time programmer at their offices. We have estimators collaborating with their quantity surveying section.
Some weeks there. She looks big, don't she? Hello, how are you? I'm fine.
In the amenity part of the building.
Mention T-bars, Peter. Is it intended that these be...
You know the gen now? Yeah. So, any questions before you go?
No, it's all right.
Right, off you go then.
Okay then, sure.
But don't spend too much time in the T-bars.
Okay, right then.
All right?
Yeah. Design it so the filters could be put in at a later date. This would be quite possible.
Well, I think this would be acceptable because we've got a situation with this factory with a very high ceiling where the amount of dust that we get in the air could be very much lower than what we've had.
We'd come together with the differing viewpoints of client, architect and managing contractor. It took a lot of discussion and even argument before we were all committed to an eventual comprehensive study of the design.
Well, now that study has been carried out in depth, and we decided to go ahead and build this new factory. And we want everyone to feel involved in this project. So we set up a consultative group drawn from all levels, all departments. Call it the design group, if you like. And it is their job to establish their particular needs. The need is to find out what people really want, and not what management thinks they should have.
Parties of us went to design centres all over the place. I mean, unless you know what's available, you don't know what's best to have.
As well as our own canteens, we went to other factories and saw what they were doing.
Well, I think
the round tables instead of...
I like the blue. I think the continuity of blue through the furniture and chairs. And there's the menu system. There's the menu.
It's not easy to please everyone. Some want self-service, some want waitresses, some only want snacks, while others want proper meals. Colours are tricky things. What might be okay at home isn't always right for where you work, and we had a lot of sessions going over the architect's ideas, and we gave them our suggestions.
Oh, yes. Yes, give us some idea of what we've got to work on.
See that?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, you certainly get a far better appreciation of the size.
Not everybody, of course, could be a member of our design group. All the same, everyone had a chance to make his point if he wanted to.
Everybody likes to sit comfortable, don't they, just for an hour?
Well, you like more variation in meals.
And that they had a bit more variety in the canteen, like the canteens that the staff's got.
I drove the wife out there on Sunday. You never see such a bloody mess in all your life.
Piles were driven down some 30 feet, through all the refuse to the marl and sandstone beneath. It was still difficult to grasp the fact that the building would cover as much ground as Wembley Stadium. The point of employing an overall managing contractor in the earlier stages became even clearer after work on the site had begun. With the building program being part of the design, construction began nearly a year earlier than would otherwise have been possible, and there was constant liaison between managing contractor and subcontractors.
We should use the external cranage method we've mentioned previously here, or bringing the air conditioning plant up the ramp. Ron, what's your reaction to those two ideas?
As you know, we don't consider that the external crane is the method we'd like to employ, and we prefer to use the hoisting with a crane from the production floor.
Yes, that's fine. Now, Jerry, what do you feel about this heavy plant being moved across the area where you're actually working?
Well, provided we're given prior warning of this, we could arrange for the erection trestles to be moved in that area, and we could concentrate...
Just before construction began, a major decision, made on economic grounds, had been to switch from electricity, generated almost next door, to another source of power, North Sea gas.
The main gas service will come from the Governor House, I presume, and along here onto the back wall of this generator house and up the back and feed into the turbines along here, will it?
That's right, Charles. We've got 8 turbines on this mezzanine floor, and these are the heart of the matter. For total energy means that all the factory's needs, motors, lighting, process steam, air conditioning and refrigeration, can be met by a single gas supply pipe. The consumption will be comparable to the domestic needs of a town the size of Northampton. Incidentally, it'll be the first major scheme of its type in Europe.
By this time, double-day shifts had been running for some weeks. We began in quite a small way on a purely voluntary basis.
Tired. I think it's
The idea was to gain experience of the system before the new factory opened. With double-day shifts at Radford, we'd be able to keep up the level of production when some of the machines had been moved out to Lenton during the phase-in period. This was now being organized to a specific program. bearing in mind the human problems involved.
Can't seem to work shifts indeed any time and get jobs done at home.
Well, that's going to be very awkward for married people. I mean, a married woman has to get her children ready for school and leave them.
If the money's there, that's what you come to work for, isn't it? What's in your wage packet, not for the place or the hours, as long as you're getting the right money.
They can't go out at night at all, can they? Well, there's not many young girls that like that. I mean, they like to go out with their boyfriends and that.
And I find that I suffered from stomach trouble through these shifts, and I'm not prepared to accept them, and it's not too agreeable to my stomach, for a start.
I think the shifts are better for the women. You've got more time at home.
Of course, we knew double day shifts would raise problems to begin with, but we found from the regular working party meetings that most people preferred them, though naturally, not without some reservations.
To give the views of the members who you represent in your respective departments. And I wonder, Gladys, if you would like to comment on the situation as you see it today.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I can safely say, as a shift worker myself and shop steward, my members would not like to change back to days.
Mr. Chairman, it does disrupt one's social life, especially getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning when you're not used to it.
And there's another problem, Mr. Chairman. A number of our electricians have been attending a class in the evenings for industrial electronics, and some of our members have had to miss every second class, so I would like to urge that the management approach the educational authorities with a view to setting up special classes.
Thank you, Paddy, for raising a very...
If Project Horizon is to succeed, it's these human problems that have to be resolved. For months, it seemed we'd been fenced in by plans and costings, quantities and calculations. Then what was exciting was to feel we'd broken out and could see the project taking shape in terms of steel and concrete. Though not the largest factory ever built, few can have proved to be more complex. Here, in the one building, we have not only to realize the most advanced production method, but also to create an environment, one that will be more pleasant to work in for everybody.
It seems to be building up quite a bit.
Well, as you'll know, all of the major subcontractors have started the program. We're now running at something in excess of 400 people on site.
With all the major subcontractors on site, how are things going on site? Smoothly? They're working well together?
We monitor this through our regular meetings and with our welfare facility and so forth. Seems to be working out very well.
There'll be many more snags, of course, but we believe they can be cleared up if everybody is involved before decisions are made, and this won't always be easy. These days, things are moving so fast that it's no good building just for tomorrow, or even the day after. It must be for the day after that.